Suchomimus versus the SuperCroc. Hey everyone, it's your boy Mike, back with another video and another topic that has no easy answer. As always, I'll be looking for your comments down in the comment section down below. Greatly appreciate those. Now, again, if you're watching this channel, I am not chasing the algorithm. I'm not doing popular trends. I'm really just doing topics and questions that I've always found interesting. Topics, just things that I've always really wanted to know about. And now that this channel is starting to grow a little bit, having just a little bit of growth, we're getting some really great comments. I hope you guys will all chime in with some comments down in the comment section down below for this one. But Suchomimus versus the SuperCroc, Sarcosuchus imperator. Now, in the early 2000s, Paul Sereno announced the SuperCroc, and to someone like me, it was just fascinating to think about and know that there could be crocs that big in the Earth's history. Now, this video is really about these two animals lived together 110 million years ago in North Africa, in the country of Niger. They would have inhabited the wide rivers of the day, big, wide, meandering rivers. And, for all intents and purposes, these animals were fairly similar in size. Sarcosuchus was maybe 35 feet in length. Again, the weights are very difficult to estimate. 5 tons, maybe 6 tons, who knows? Some of the estimates used to say 8 tons, but very difficult to estimate these weights to get people to come to a consensus on how much they weighed. Suchomimus was probably about 36 feet long too. Let's call it 10,000 pounds, 5 tons. These animals are more or less about the same size. Power-wise, I feel like we have to give the advantage to the SuperCroc. I just think it had more of a powerful bite, and it may have weighed just a little bit more. So I feel like if there was an edge on bite force, I feel like I'd have to give it to the SuperCroc. Now, again, we know that these two animals live together, and we know that Suchomimus probably made most of its living fishing. But in another previous video, we talked about how Suchomimus has longer legs than Spinosaurus, and perhaps it was more agile and adept on land, meaning it fed more on terrestrial prey. But that doesn't mean that it still didn't hang around these big rivers of the day. So if it hung around those rivers, it would have come into contact with the SuperCroc. Now, two apex predators, which is what I believe both of these animals were, probably would have wanted to steer clear of one another. If you're a big apex predator and you encounter another big apex predator, you probably don't want to fight. You're going to want to steer clear of each other at all costs. So right off the bat, in asking around and doing some preparation for this video, it's probably possible that they spent their time away from each other, that they steered clear of one another. But let's face it, encounters happen in the wild. Random encounters happen. Now, do I think that these animals were constantly battling? No. But that does not mean that at some point in Earth's history, 110 million years ago in North Africa, on these wide meandering rivers, that these two giants may not have met. So again, who would have won in a fight? Who would we have favored if these two animals had met? Again, that's why your comments are so vital, and I really do hope that you'll leave a comment down in the comment section, letting me know what your thoughts are on this. But I do think it's fair to say that would have steered clear of one another, but there may have been random instances when maybe that one just strayed into the other's territory, or they literally stumbled upon one another. Again, they're probably both occupying this fish niche, these fish resources of these rivers. So if they're in that same river system, they're seeing each other probably from time to time. And again, maybe things could have got, turn into a contest. You just don't know. Obviously, we can't prove it. Again, not to beat a dead horse. That's why the comment section is so important for chiming in, and we can all learn from one another. But again, I'm really asking you all to think about who would have won if these things did face off in a battle, if there was some type of altercation among these two animals. Now, again, like we stated, they're roughly the same size. I do believe that the SuperCroc has a much heavier duty skull than Suchomimus. Suchomimus has that really long narrow crocodilian-like skull, about 4 feet in length. So don't fool yourself. It was a massive skull, and it had some massive claws, some massive hooked claws on the forelimbs that it probably would have hooked fish with. And who knows, maybe, in fact, delivered some devastating blows to terrestrial dinosaurs as well, small terrestrial dinosaurs. Now, I believe it's fair to say that the SuperCroc, if it was hunting dinosaurs, would have hunted smaller dinosaurs. Smaller sauropods. We know that in Nigersaurus, the sauropod lived there. Now, who's to say that young Suchomimus, now that'd be a fascinating topic for another video, but young Suchomimus that are learning how to hunt in these river ecosystems. Imagine you're a young Suchomimus, you're maybe 8 or 10 feet long. You're just getting your legs underneath you and you're learning how to hunt and fish, and you're near these wide rivers. Unbeknownst to you, a monster is lurking under the water. A 36-foot long monster called Sarcosuchus imperator, the SuperCroc. I believe it's fair to say that those young Suchomimus would have been highly in danger of being hunted by this giant leviathan. But it'll be a video for another topic, another time. For the purposes of this video, we're talking about Suchomimus versus SuperCroc. Who would have won in these battles? I also think that it may have to do with just how far out Suchomimus may have been. Now, the SuperCroc is extremely large, one of the largest crocodiles to ever exist. And I think that if the Suchomimus was meandering out into deeper water, I think the deeper the water would have been, the more we can favor SuperCroc. So I'm gonna say that again, at least my standpoint. The deeper the water, I think we favor SuperCroc more than Suchomimus. I just think it's in its natural habitat. Now, again, if Suchomimus doesn't venture into deeper water and it literally is just in water that's 2 or 3 feet or 3 or 4 feet in depth, who knows? Who knows what deep would be to an animal that stood 12 or 13 feet tall. So, but again, I think if Suchomimus was meandering out into deeper water, the deeper the water got, I think you have to favor the SuperCroc. It's got a more heftier skull. I believe it probably was bigger weight-wise, so it's got mass, and I'd have to favor it in those type of encounters. But you never know. Maybe if the SuperCroc happened to encounter Suchomimus on land, let's say that the SuperCroc came charging out of the water, and a Suchomimus maybe happened to be feeding on a dead carcass or a dead fish close by, that Suchomimus came rampaging down the beach or rampaging down the mud to encounter that SuperCroc. Well, now the scales are probably tipped in favor of Suchomimus. Again, I don't think Suchomimus is going to deliver a blow with its jaws. I just don't think those jaws are strong enough. But the feet, could it have done some damage by inflicting damage to the SuperCroc that way? Could it have clawed it with those enormous clawed forelimbs that it had? So again, love to hear your thoughts on this in the comment section down below. If these two behemoths, these two leviathans did in fact face off, I think you got to favor the SuperCroc if it's in deeper water, and potentially maybe you give a slight edge to Suchomimus if the SuperCroc happened to be up on land or maybe in a foot or so of water. Love to hear your thoughts on this. Comment section down below. See you in the next video. Take care.